about this movie. And look, this is the only one you need to watch. So let's get into it. For those of y'all who are new to the channel, my name is Lajoie Fortune, and I'm all about travel, wellness, and transformation. But I have a little part of my channel that some of y'all maybe have been peeking at, where I kind of dive into what's trending or really what's miscellaneous. But right now, this movie is trending. So I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and talk about it, because I feel like there's a lot of fear mongering about this movie. And really, like, we need to dispel some of these, okay? Because, like, y'all be thinking too deep. It's a movie. It's a fictional movie. And for those of y'all who don't know, the movie that I'm talking about is The World Behind Us, I think is what I want to say. Oh, Leave the World Behind. The World Behind Us. Maybe that's the sequel, but Leave the World Behind. That's the movie I'm talking about. So let's get into it, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about is, sorry, let me look at my notes real quick. Well, first of all, there's like a lot of videos about this movie. A lot of people are like scared, like, oh my God, what if like a cyber blackout actually happens? Is it gonna be the end of the world? Like, I guess the end of the United States. And really, like, the biggest thing that I wanted to address is that, like, it's a movie. Like, get that, it's a movie. It's a fictional movie. And yes, it is based off of a book. And yes, a lot of the events that have occurred in the movie, they are a possibility, right? But I really want people to understand it's a movie and it's dramatized. You know, even when we have movies that are based off of history or are quote unquote predicting the future, it's a movie. It needs to be entertaining. It needs to be dramatized, right? So I really want people to take that into consideration, because it's like people are really thinking that like a lot of the events that occurred in the movie are like definitely gonna happen in real life, and that's just like not true. Like, I think the biggest thing that I've learned, especially from watching films that have predicted the future, or watching TV shows like The Simpsons. Remember, they had that episode about a pandemic, right? And then a couple years, maybe more than a couple years later, COVID happened. And I say this to say that, you know, COVID, it did have a huge effect globally, and it did affected the whole world, and many people did pass away. But was it an apocalypse? No. Okay, so like that's my point. Like, it's like, take everything with a grain of salt, okay? Especially movies like this. Like, and I'm not saying that a cyber blackout can't happen. And I'm not saying that more likely, in my opinion, electrical blackout can't happen. Like, I think it's possible, but I think it's one of those things that it's like, you know, it's not necessarily gonna last forever. Especially because when you think about it, a lot of these like rich millionaires, billionaires, their money kind of depends on electricity and having all of these systems running. So if they do fall out and we do have blackouts, I don't think it's really gonna last like decades, you know. I mean, unless something just unpredictable happens, right? But I wanted to take that into consideration. And that being said, before we get even more deeper into this video, I really made this video mostly to just provide some hope and some love, I think, because I feel like we're so used to focusing on fear, talking about fear, and when we see movies like this, it kind of promotes fear. And so I really wanted to make this video to really combat that with some love and hope, and some like knowledge too on like what to do to prepare, which is going to be at the end of this video, because I wanted to talk about some aspects of preparing for a blackout, electrical blackout, or anything like that, but in ways that people don't really talk about or haven't talked about yet. So I want to give y'all kind of like a solution, because some of these videos, it's just like focusing on the negative, and it's like, let's just take a pause real quick. Let's take a pause and let's bring some love into it. That's what I'm here to do. So let's get into it. So if you're looking for a video that's focusing on the fear and the oh my God, this is gonna happen, oh my God, we have to buy a bunker, this is not the video for you. I highly suggest you just go to another YouTube video, okay? Okay, so So it's a movie. It's supposed to be dramatized, right? Just went over that. The other thing I want to talk about the movie is that the one thing that people are saying is that, oh my God, the Obamas produced it, which is interesting, and like for multiple reasons. The first reason is that, I mean, it's the Obamas, it's an ex-president that is publicly announcing that they produced this movie, right? That being said, there's been a lot of, how do I put it yesterday? There's been a lot of, I had something good yesterday. Like, I don't want to say politicians, but like American influencers, and not the IG influencers, but like the actual influencers. That's how I'm gonna put it. The real influencers, okay? They've been producing movies like this for decades. Like, this isn't anything new. But what I thought was very interesting was, I feel like this was one of the, at least few times, where they made a big deal about who it was that was producing the movie. That was something that I haven't really, like, I hadn't seen before. So I thought that was like really interesting, because I mean, because this has been happening for decades. There's all of these like I say, influencers, American influencers. They've been producing movies like this for so long, but I think it is something to point out that they made a big deal of it. And that being said, people are saying like, oh, because they produced it, it has like some validity to it, and it does. But like I said earlier, I feel like it doesn't really mean that we have to go into mass hysteria. It doesn't mean that we all have to start buying bunkers and putting it like, come on now, like I don't know. I just, in terms of like a cyber blackout, or even like in my opinion, what I think is more likely is like an electrical grid blackout, because the cyber blackout, this, in my opinion, because I know hackers, and I have a lot of friends who are hackers. A lot. Okay, I don't have a lot actually, because they're kind of few and far between. I got a few. There's good hackers and there's bad hackers. Like, so that's the other thing I wanted to really like shine a light on, is like, not all hackers are bad. And in fact, I'm willing to bet there's like even more good hackers than bad hackers. Now, this is again, like I say, this video and a lot of the energy that I'm bringing to YouTube is going to be about love and bringing y'all hope, okay? I'm really not focused on the fear. So a lot of the stuff that I say, I think some of y'all might be like, oh my gosh, I'm being realistic. But like, really, I'm here to bring y'all love and hope, and I'm not focusing on fear. I'm trying not to, at least, okay? I'm trying my best. But yeah, like there's good hackers, y'all. So like, I don't know, the likelihood of this happening, I think it's not impossible. But I have to say this, like, the US spends trillions of dollars on cybersecurity, okay? Because they got secrets in the Pentagon, and it's like, look, like, it's probably not even in the Pentagon anymore, right? It's probably somewhere else at this point. But they got stuff that they want to protect. So I don't think that it's going to be a very easy feat for somebody to hack into the United States mainframe, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I just don't think it's an easy feat. Now, that being said, where there's a will, there's a way. So if there's somebody out there or a group of people who are really putting all their energy, right? And I'm talking like all their energy, like they don't have any family members that they care about or that they love, like they don't have any girlfriend, like it's like they don't care about like bettering themselves. Yeah, okay, all of their energy could, focused on this, maybe it could happen. But like I say, the likelihood of that happening, I don't think is very high. I think what is more likely to happen is the electrical blackout. And that's because of the big solar flares that are happening. I think we had one like a couple days ago, a week ago maybe. And so those are going to get more stronger. They're gonna get stronger, and I think the likelihood of the electrical grid blacking out because of the solar flares, like I think that's a lot more likely than the cyber attack. So I really wanted to say that because I think that's an important note. And that being said, like these are solar flares, right? So I think because they're happening now, I think that the systems, the internet, the electrical systems, they're already kind of putting extra systems in place to prepare for that. At least I hope so, but I'm pretty sure they are. Because we all know they're going to get worse. We all know that they're happening. So, like, you know, let's start let's start building those blocks that we need to kind of keep the structure in place. I feel like that's what's happening right now. And so if it does happen, you know, I guess my hope is that it only happens for maybe a couple of days, maybe to a few months, but like, I don't know, I just really, like I said, there's so much of this system that depends on electricity, or at least, let me rephrase that, that it depends on the electrical system that we have in place now. Um, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think it's like one of those, it would be an anomaly in my opinion. But that being said, also, I feel like if that does happen, it's really going to empower us to tap into the electrical grid on the earth, which is what Nikola Tesla had researched. And people theorize that's what he was, how do I put this? That's what he was gotten rid of for. I don't know. I want to make this kind of, you know, PG, but yeah, like he figured out essentially how to tap into the electrical grid on the of the earth. And so if we can figure that out, then really I think even the blackout of the electrical grid, it won't happen. It won't happen because we'll already know how to tap into the electrical grid of the earth system. So you're welcome, because I just thought of that right now. So okay, so anyway, so oh, that's it for my notes. Let me see. Okay, so let me think if there's anything else that I wanted to say about the movie. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I want to say about the movie. This is why I have this up here. What about the kids? We'll get into it. Oh, social media gone forever too. That's the other thing. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I just, maybe for us, like common people, like it'll affect us. But for these bigger people who, quote unquote, bigger people, whose livelihood, way of life that depends on the system that's in place now, I don't know, I find it really hard that they'll allow something like a cyber blackout to happen. So that's my biggest thing. But I mean, but I don't know. Like I said, like this is just me putting some hope in the pool of fear. Okay, so that's really what is going on right now surrounding this movie. It's like a pool of fear. We need to like put that to the side. Okay, so should you prepare for a cyber blackout or electrical grid blackout? Yes, you should definitely prepare. Like, I think it's, like I said, it's not something that is impossible. But like I said, I think the way that the events take place in the movie, I think that's kind of the part that you kind of have to be like, okay, maybe it's not gonna happen like this. Yeah, like COVID, like it wasn't like, even during COVID, people didn't go out in the street and start like rampaging. I mean, there were protests and stuff like that, but it wasn't like a mass hysteria. Everybody literally stayed in their houses and in their rooms. And it was more of like in my opinion, it was more about empowering us as individuals to kind of go inward, address our fears, address our emotions that are coming up. And a lot of us didn't do that. But if there's another, I'm not saying that there is going to be, but if there's another thing that's going to force us to stay in our homes, use that as an opportunity to address your fears, address your insecurities, address the emotions that come up. That's what that time is for, you know. And I think, in my opinion, it's also a time for the earth to breathe, because look, we have just been going and going and going and going and going. And that's one of the things that I say in my Tulum video, which is on my channel. I talk about how I really believe that COVID was also a big opportunity for the earth to just breathe. I happened, not like in like the lockdown, but when we came like out of lockdown, you know, like that summer of 2020, whenever I was like, okay, let's go out in the grass and start going outside. I went to these towns in Mexico, and these towns usually had big cruise ships coming through. And I remember going to a beach with one of my friends that I was, actually, she was like the owner of the bed and breakfast I was staying with, but we became really good friends. She's like, oh, let me take you to a really nice beach. And we went to the beach and we sat down, and she was like, you know, this is very special because never have I seen the water this clean before. And that was like kind of the theme that I saw when I was in Mexico, going to different places. I'm not saying like, again, during the lockdown, I was in lockdown. Like it was like I couldn't really leave my studio unless I went to the grocery store. Like it was like lockdown. But when it was out of that lockdown like season, a couple of weeks or whatever, then that's when I started traveling with the mask, of course. Okay. And started going to different places. But anyway, so that was a common thing. Like I would go to these little small beach towns. Usually they have all of these cruise ships coming through, and everybody would say like, it's never this clean. It's never this clean. We never see fishes here. Like it was amazing. So really, my point is, sometimes, you know, I think these incidents that happen, they're kind of to give us the medicine that we need. And it's kind of, but like in a way that it's up to us to choose. Like, are we going to choose to sit in the fear and just continue to live the way that we have been living, or doing the things that we have been doing that don't really serve us? Or am I going to pivot and use it as an opportunity to kind of sift through it? What do I need? What's not serving me anymore? What is serving me? Like, that's really what these times are for. I think another good example of this, I know this is kind of a tangent, but we're going to get back to this in a second. But another good example of this was, I remember during COVID, when we were in lockdown, people were running out of stuff to watch. I thought that was so funny. I remember like on Facebook and Instagram, people would like comment like, I don't know what else to watch. I'm so bored. Like, and for me, I used it as an opportunity to be like, okay, let me build a business. Let me build my YouTube channel. Actually, that was the first like official YouTube channel I actually like built, was during COVID. So just kind of have that frame of mind if stuff like this happens, okay? Okay, so should you prepare for a cyber attack? Not cyber attack, but electrical grid blackout, or a cyber attack, or a cyber blackout, I guess. Yes, you should prepare. So here's how to prepare, coming from a space of love and hope and transformation, self-development, okay? I'm not going to talk about, like, I guess, weapons you should or should not have. I'm not going to talk about bunkers. Y'all can look at other videos for that. There's so many other videos on the internet about that. So look at those videos. That's not what this is about. But I want to show you guys, or tell you guys, the essentials that I feel are needed in case this stuff happens, okay? Especially the essentials that I think nobody has really talked about, that I think is like a big secret. So I'm gonna give it to y'all today. Okay, so how to prepare for a cyber blackout or electrical grid blackout. Number one, water. Before eating food, I wouldn't even really worry about food, and I'll get to that in a second. Don't even worry about food. I did a 21-day fast. You can do up to 40-day fasting. So, and you can look at my video about the 21-day fast. But me having done that, I know now, the food is really, that's kind of gonna be, I don't want to say it's the last resort, but it's not going to be the most important thing to worry about. And especially because unless you live in a city, if you live somewhere surrounded by nature, then you really don't have to worry about buying a bunch of canned goods. I'll get to that in a second. I'll get to the alternative to this. Okay, so the first thing is water. You need water. So you need to get not preserved water, but bottled water. I would literally, if you could get like a whole shelf of just bottled water and just keep it on that shelf, and like a big shelf, I'm talking get like at least 100 gallons of water is what I would get, just in case. And this is especially for people who live in like dry areas, right? If you live in rainy environments, you don't really have to worry about that as much. Now, again, this is to prepare for a electrical grid blackout or a cyber blackout, the whole nuclear, just, we ain't gonna get into it. That's how I'm gonna put that. But so definitely get water. That's the number one thing. Again, especially if you live in dry areas. Yeah. The next thing I would get is not Netflix. Netflix, I would unsubscribe. That's the last thing I would get. The next thing I would get is not food, but I would invest in getting some minerals and nutrients and vitamins. That's what you want to take stock of. Don't get canned food. Don't get preserved foods, because they have so many chemicals and preservatives in them. It's not going to help you last as long as you need, and it's not going to allow your body to be at its optimal in times like this. Like, it really isn't. Like, really get that in your mind. It's really not. Like, I think canned food is the last thing you're going to want to eat, okay? because your body is gonna be so like it's gonna be in survival mode. So it's like if you put like preserved stuff and stuff like that in your body's not gonna be like at its best. So I would not get canned food. This is my opinion, but I wouldn't get it. I would get minerals and vitamins. Okay. And that being said, the other thing that I would get that is a big alternative to food is a wilderness survival guide for your region that you live in. So I would just buy one or two of these books, obviously printed out. Okay, don't be getting no digital copy. Okay, but I would get one or two survival guides, maybe three. Three is a good number. We'll do three survival guides about your region where you're living at, and that tells you about the plants and everything to help you kind of get the nutrients that your body needs from the environment that you live in. Now, again, if you live in the city, honestly, like, so do I want to say this? I would just try to find a place or a small house outside of the city. So if you do live in the city, try to find a small cabin or something that's outside of the city that you can go to. Because the cities, how do I want to put this? You don't want to be near the cities. that's how I'm gonna put it. Okay. So I mean they're good for now in this society that we live in this structure that we live in. Like cities are great. Cities are great. But this structure is going away. So we want to start adapting to that, and you really want to start like having a place and a new way of life outside of city life, because the city is it's a hot mess. Okay. That's one thing I will agree with in terms of the movie. Now I don't think it's gonna be to that extreme, but you know, cities you do want to stay away from. So nutrients, survival guide. So that's the two things you need in terms of food. Okay, you want nutrients, supplements, stuff like that, and a survival guide. The bunker situation, like I said, I'm not gonna really touch on because, like, I just, I buy a bunker if you want, but that's that's how I feel about it. Okay, so the next thing, oh, this is like the ultimate. This is the ultimate one. I thought of this yesterday. I was like, this is genius. This is really genius. So, me being me, I've traveled, as some of y'all know, for the past 4.5 years. One of the biggest things that I've learned, and this does have to do with this, I'll tell y'all in a second. One of the biggest things that I've learned from monks, this is when I was living with monks in Thailand for a couple months. Fear. Oh my God, if y'all can just get rid of fear, you manifest like this, like it's nothing. I was reading and learning stories of monks and nuns. And in Thailand, they're called, the female monks are called nuns, but everywhere else, they're just all monks. So, but anyway, so I was hearing stories of monks. Whenever they needed something, they didn't even worry. They didn't like hesitate. If they needed money to build a building or they needed food, they had no worries at all because their fear was gone. And the next day it would just pop up. So if you could just really work on your mindset and meditate and really live in like a meditative mode, like 24/7, you don't even have to do any of this preparation. Like everything will just come to you. Like, and I'm not even like, it's not even on some spiritual, like, I don't know, like magic. It's not even about that. Like I've seen it. These are like monks. Monks are not necessarily spiritual. Monks practice a philosophy. It's a science that they are studying, that they've studied for thousands of years and have mastered. Like it's not even on some, like, it's just on some like science stuff. Like it's not even, like, I'm telling you. So if you could just get rid of fear, I'm telling you right now, you will not have to worry about any of this. You will be set. You'll be good to go. I'm telling you, if anything like happens, the monks, they're gonna be sitting and meditating. Like if there's a cyber like blackout, they're gonna be sitting and meditating. They won't have a single worry in their minds. Like, so that's look, I know for a fact nobody's talking about this on the internet. So you're welcome. Okay. Yeah, I totally forgot about that, but yeah, that's the biggest one. Okay, so the next thing is, and this is mostly for kids, I guess adults too, but one of the things that was touched on in the movie was the kids' addiction to technology and to the internet. You know, the little girl, that was like a big theme, was that she was so addicted to technology. And this is like a legit concern. I think I need to say this for some of y'all who maybe don't have kids or don't really see this or don't work with kids. This is legit. I have traveled all over the world. This is an epidemic. The addiction to technology with kids. I don't know if it's a lack of knowledge on this, but it's a huge issue. Like the tablets, the iPhones, those are the new babysitters. Those are the new things that the kids interact with. They don't talk with other kids anymore. Excuse me. Or if they do, not as much. They're given an iPhone and an iPad, and I literally like saw like 2-3-year-olds scrolling through TikTok, just mindlessly scrolling for hours. And it's crazy. It's really crazy. It's really crazy. So this is a huge issue. And so one of the things that I have for parents is, if you do have kids, make sure you have a book on you about processing emotions, because y'all gonna have to be the therapist for your kids during this, okay? Unless you've done the work before this happens, which you can still do now, right? Y'all gonna have to be your kids' therapist, and y'all gonna have to help them get through the emotions, get through the anxiety of not being attached to technology. Like, that's going to be a big thing. So buy a book on that as soon as you can, okay? Okay, so what else? I think that's about it. You know, what about the kids? That's the biggest thing. So, and really start to try to condition your kids now, condition them out of being addicted to technology, which is really challenging because as a former educator and somebody who had worked through COVID, even the education system is programming these kids to be addicted to technology. They're using iPads, they're using computers. Like, it's really crazy. It's really crazy. And I think, you know, for those of y'all who are like into future predictions, we are getting into a deeper and deeper technological age. And so it's something that's just we're going along with the times, but we really need to understand how to balance it, because right now there's no balance and it's really scary to see. So like I said, buy those books on processing emotions, especially for kids and teens. That's what I would like kind of focus on. So you can be prepared for when that stuff happens, you can then help your teen out, help your kids out, process through those emotions and detach from that addiction to technology. And honestly, I mean, I think the blackout of the electrical grid could be a good thing. You know, it could be one of those things that a lot of that generation needs to disconnect from technology. It's like it could be a blessing. Could be a blessing. Let me see. So should I prepare? So I think that's gonna be it for this video, y'all. I dropped a lot of gems in this. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And in the description below, there's a lot of free stuff that I have. I have a free wellness course that y'all can look at. You can do the wellness course with your kid too. There's a free safety travel guide too. So just look in the description. There's a bunch of stuff. But I hope y'all learned something from this live stream. I'm really happy that I was able to do this and give y'all the knowledge that I dropped today. So I love y'all so much. Peace.